Welcome back to the Lipoedema Podcast. We are your hosts, Shell and Tiana, and today it's just us as your co-hosts having a chat. And we thought we would talk about a really loaded topic and a controversial topic and a triggering topic of weight loss. So if you're not in the space to be receiving content and conversation about weight loss, perhaps choose one of our other episodes. Yeah, hey, skip this one. Skip this one because, sometimes it can be really difficult to talk about, especially for people with lipedema. And I have sort of gone from, like, if anyone mentioned diets or mentioned anything, I would just go on the defensive straight away. And I think, I don't know, in my healing journey, doing the podcast, like all the things I'm doing, I'm not. Like, someone at work the other day said, I'm trying these shakes, the doctor wants me to get my weight down. I'm like, oh, good luck with that. What a beautiful response. I'd have to go, don't do that, be body positive. Like, none of that shit. It was just like, if that's what you need to do, because not always is it aesthetic reasons people want to lose weight. And I think that's, in my mind, that is what it used. My old mind, not this mind. This mind's healed. But it used to always be, if someone was on a diet, it's because they didn't love themselves. It was because they didn't think they were worthy. It was because they wanted to shrink themselves. Like, all of that bullshit. Yeah. And now it's like, well, no, who am I to say why someone else is on a diet? Like, that's none of my business. If they want to try shakes and lose a few kilos, power to them, and that I've had to come full circle on that and I only picked myself up the other day and I'm like, go you, Shell.
Love that.
Like, I was really,
some prep.
Yeah, I was like, that's huge. That was huge for me to not go, don't talk diets.
The way I think about weight loss is very confusing because what I expect from myself is very different to what I would expect from anybody else. And if somebody wanted to go on a diet or they wanted to try something, I'd be like, yeah, girlfriend, like, you do, go for it. How you going with that? That's fine. And they're seeing results. That's really great. But I'm very judgmental about myself and what I can do. And I think, and I've said this before, if somebody in the lipedema community looks at me, they may not think that I live in a larger body. And I get it. But for me, for how I grew up, my body fluctuates massively. And I'm at a time at the moment when my body is the largest that it's ever been. And there's been a purpose. I am postpartum and I've just finished breastfeeding. And so I don't take that lightly, but I don't want to be complacent. I feel like if I get complacent about it, because I have lipedema, it will just exacerbate the problem. So perhaps I don't tolerate it in myself to try and combat it as soon as it sort of comes up. I'm just like, oh yeah, let's nip this in the bud because I don't want my lipedema to progress. I don't want pain. And I am getting sore, aching legs. And that could be a multitude of things. Like, my body's hormonal system is going nuts. All of a sudden, I've told my body to stop producing milk. Not that it produced much in the first place, but that's different. And I'm still recovering from a cesarean. It's very different, but I don't feel great in my body at the moment. And there was a study that came out recently and it was shared in some of the Facebook groups that they followed some women for about 4.5 years with lipedema, which is an interesting amount of time, in my opinion, to come to the conclusion that it's not progressive. They say that it's not progressive unless you put on weight. So it sort of works in tandem. If your weight goes up, then your lipedema progresses. I don't know if I believe that that's the only reason why. I think there's women that I've found on the forums and everything that are very, very tiny, and then their lipedema is just out loud and proud. And so that doesn't meet that criteria.
Yeah.
But again, it's great that there's research being done, even if it's not best case scenario.
Yeah, I think it's too early to call that. Like 4.5 years doesn't seem like a long time for like a longitudinal study.
It's not.
You would think 7 to 10 would be a better.
I agree.
Yeah.
Unless you have a cohort of patients that are in the middle of their hormonal journey. We're women. We have numerous hormonal journeys in our life. If they took 20 to 30 patients from puberty. Now, I'm pretty sure there's ethics involved with children in studies, so that would be really difficult. I get it. If they took women who were postpartum or they were trying to conceive, those sort of things. Or if they took women in perimenopause and they followed them for 4.6 years, perhaps we'd get a different perspective, because they are dealing with these hormonal fluctuations. And so I think it's different. I think when our hormones are a bit erratic, then our lipedema progresses, and it's not just because we're putting on weight.
But because hormonal changes come with weight gain.
For sure.
So aren't they hand in hand?
Yes, but I don't think they're mutually exclusive.
Okay.
So yes, I agree that lipedema would progress if we put on weight. But I don't agree that putting on weight is the only factor for our lipedema to progress.
Yeah.
In my humble, non-medical, non-research opinion.
No. Well, even Karen Herb said that there's some controversy around that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's great that there's research being done.
Yes, absolutely.
And to do a longitudinal study and to do it on women would be so expensive. So many factors. We are very complex beings that I think it's sort of in the too hard basket at the moment, or they're doing it now and they're not advertising it because it's longitudinal.
Yeah.
We can't publish anything yet.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
But I thought, if you're willing, we can talk about our own, what's going on for us at the moment.
Okay.
I certainly have some thoughts that I would like to share, but they're very vulnerable. So I feel a bit vulnerable sharing with the audience today, but I think it's important to continue to be transparent. So I wanted to talk first and open it up to see how you're feeling at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. So, it's been a really crazy start to the year. My husband's hurt his back, and my husband, he's got white coat fever. So he hasn't been to a doctor in so long. But he was in excruciating pain. So I got into the doctor, had scans, ended up getting into a physio, got him to go to an acupuncturist and come to P3 with me. And he stopped drinking.
Yikes. That's many things.
It's been massive, this massive overhaul. And when he was at the acupuncturist, he was sort of saying his back was out because of his kidney energy, and he was just fascinating. This man is just fascinating. And so he said to Dave to try keto. All right. And Dave's like, yeah, I love meat. All right, let's give it a go. So, and he said to me, you don't have to do it with me. I know you're working with Jono, you're getting to a good place. I said, yeah, well, give me a couple of weeks. And so I was sort of watching him and we were doing it. And two of my daughters are celiac anyway, so I have to always sort of change things up. I went, guess what? I think I'm in the right mindset to try this with you. So I've been trying it for the last 3 weeks, and it's bloody amazing. I think it's all about mindset. Like I was saying, I'm not triggered by diet anymore. I'm not triggered by and I just don't know where it's come from. Maybe it's just the evolution of me. I don't know. But I am changing for the better, and I love that. And so, it's been really easy, I'm keeping it simple. I've been getting some tips from Vanessa Armstrong, Keto Buddies. Keto Buddies. She keeps it super simple. So it's just protein, lettuce, spinach, celery, asparagus, you can have as much of that as you want. And then, your broccoli and cauliflower, mushrooms, you can only have 1 cup of them a day. So she keeps it simple so you don't have to record it. Have half an avocado a day. And I have just been chilling with it. And it's so good. I'll be like, okay, what protein tonight? All right, I'll cook up some chicken thighs. All right, have some chicken thighs. Oh, I might have a little cheese on the side. Oh, I feel a little bit like some salad. Okay, some shredded lettuce. It's just been simple instead of going, okay, so step 1 in this recipe. And I've really enjoyed it. So I was a bit upset earlier in the week, and I did post about it because I use my weight as a guide. It's just a data set that we can quickly get instead of getting out scales or looking at photos. I can jump on the scales and go, hey, it's working. And I jumped on the scales and I'd gone up a kilo, and I'm like, what did I do? And, racking my brain. I was a bit down, but I had so many people reach out to me. So thank you everyone who reached out to me and said, you're doing great. Keep going. Don't worry about scales. And Jono, my dietitian, reached out to me, and he wants to have a chat But I've asked him if he can do some research into lipedema and keto because he's a big evidence-based guy. So I'm like, I don't have the brain power to look at the studies and see why they say this. Can you please have a look? So I'll get back to you with what he says because he's more like balance. Like evidence says balance, but that's not for lipedema. That's for the general population. Yeah. So it'll be really interesting to see what he says.
Yeah, we definitely, as lipedema, people living with lipedema, we need a bit more we need to be a bit more intentional with our food for sure.
Yeah.
Like we're not eating for the average person. And I really struggle with that.
Yeah.
Really struggle because I have a healthy diet and I don't deny myself anything because I'm in the mindset of not being a lipedema person. But really, if I'm honest, perhaps because we have this condition, we probably should deny ourselves sometimes of some things to support our lipedema.
Yeah.
It's hard to know what the right thing is for both body and mind. And sometimes they definitely combat each other because you can go on that restrict binge sort of, which we
don't want to get there.
And we've all been there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And sometimes I think that I must admit I'm not good at losing weight.
Yeah.
I'm really good at maintaining weight.
Yeah. Okay.
My mum is like a pro at losing weight.
Yeah.
Pro at losing weight, but she struggles with them maintaining that weight.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm the complete opposite.
Yeah.
I am really good at maintaining a weight. And if something like a pregnancy or a virus or something then makes me gain weight, I'm really bad. I'm not good at losing it. And I think it's because I have such a healthy lifestyle naturally that in my brain, I'm like, what else can I do that's not going to affect up here and make me feel deprived of anything?
That's so good that you're putting your mental health first.
But then I need to deal with the consequence. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a consequence. So at the moment, when I first gave birth to Nova, I thought I was looking at my body and it was a normal postpartum body and I thought, I can come back from this. But breastfeeding has really done, I don't know what it's done because those who say that you lose weight breastfeeding, not I. In fact, my weight, my scales just went up and up and up and up. So about 7 kilos in the past 5 months, between 7 and 10 kilos. And I don't know how to come back from that myself.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you're already putting in the effort.
I already have a healthy lifestyle. I already exercise every day. I already have great nutritious meals. And I can cut out those sometimes foods, but to what end? Because it's not like I have it all the time, all day.
Yeah.
So when that study came out that lipedema is not progressive unless your weight progress, I must admit that it sent me into a bit of a panic because my weight progression, I don't feel is my fault at the moment. I needed to eat more to support giving breastfeeding a red hot go. And now I'm no longer breastfeeding. I need to deal with these consequences. I just don't know how because calorie deficit is a short-term thing. You need to cycle through calorie deficit and I like intermittent fasting. That is a calorie deficit, really. I can't go lower than that long term. That's not healthy. Your body will recalibrate. Then what?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like,
the set point just keeps changing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then you're stuffed because for the rest of your life, you're eating like a bird and what then?
No joy.
No joy. So I'm really stuck and I was really stressed. And you and I had a conversation about that last time we caught up. And I mentioned that I was interested in some intervention. And the intervention that I was talking about, I have mentioned on this podcast before, but I would never go back there. And so this is why it's a bit of a vulnerable discussion for me because I have decided to go back there. And I went to my doctor and had a discussion with her because one of the things that I've been struggling with is this just an excuse in my mind, to lose weight quickly by going on this? Or am I really doing myself a favor by having this quick little fix? And then, as I said, I'm really good at maintaining my weight because I have healthy habits.
Yeah.
So I was trying to dig into that. And to be honest, I haven't come to any form of conclusion about what the case is for me. And it could be a little bit of both. And I need to live in, I think one of our themes of this year was to dive into our own bullshit.
Yeah.
Can we say that?
Yeah.
The first episode this year. And so, I might have to call out that this is just me having a disordered perspective on what I should be. But I went to the GP and had a discussion with her, and she mentioned the GLP-1 agonist.
Yep.
I have a couple of friends that take them. They seem to be happy with them, but it's not in my financial sort of breadth at the moment.
It's bloody expensive.
It is expensive. It's about, I think it was $380 a month for the Wegovy, which is what my GP had suggested for me. And then it's more longer term. So it would be like 6 to 12 months sort of thing, to get back to where I was. And then Duromine, I've always discussed Duromine. I've had it twice in my life before. And we've spoken about it on the podcast. It doesn't make you feel good. It is a drug. It is a
medicated speed.
It's medicated speed, but it worked for me the first 2 times, and I was on it for 3 weeks. And I feel like 3 weeks of stress I can come back from in my body because of my healthy habits. Whereas 6 months to 12 months of a medication will be really hard to come off.
And you haven't had it before and you don't know the side effects. You don't know what it'll be like when you come off it.
Or how long I would need.
Or how long you're on it. Whereas Duromine, this is your 3rd time.
This is my 3rd time.
Know what to expect. Yes, you're older. Yes, you've now got 3 kids. All of that. But you have done it before. It's sort of a known entity.
And I like known things. I'm not great with the unknown. So that's what I've decided to do. And in fact, today's the first day that I have taken a tablet. And I'm going to share my journey on my social media. But I can't tell you how much of I'm in, my mind is going from, am I doing the right thing to, I don't know. I really don't know. But this is where I'm at right now. It's a desperate attempt to be able to fit into a whole wardrobe that I have. And now I'm on maternity leave. I can wear, leggings all day, but I need to go back to work in a couple of months. I have not a piece of clothing for my arms or my waist.
Yeah.
Not one piece of clothing that will fit my body. So we'll see. Yeah. And I'll keep you informed. But
remember, you are allowed to pivot. You are allowed to change your mind. Don't be hard on yourself for that at all.
I don't want it. I want it to work.
Yeah, of course.
I want to then say, yeah, that was a really hard decision, and it's a shit 3 weeks, and I feel a bit.
Yeah.
But it is what it is, and it worked, and get on with the rest of my life.
Really,
it's a blip. 3 weeks is a blip. 4 weeks is a blip.
Yeah.
And I feel like I want to give myself a little grace, just like I would give everybody else a little grace for reaching for an intervention other than lifestyle. Because as I said, I do have a very healthy lifestyle. I don't know many other people in my circle that wake up and exercise every day, that intermittent fast, like I don't know, and they look better than me.
And I think that's the most frustrating part. And I think we spoke about it one other day. I don't think we recorded it, but we were talking about it. Like, I don't drink soft drinks. Yeah. I don't eat takeaway food. I don't eat crap, really. I love dark chocolate. Yeah, I might grab a lolly snake now and then. I don't eat ice cream. Like, I do not eat anything that not fatty food. Not like, I don't eat anything that we associate with being in, like, I'm down to 111 kilos. A woman who weighs 111 kilos to eat as well and do as much as I do, it's like frustrating.
Something's amiss, really.
Yeah.
The effort doesn't equal outcome is really challenging for us with lipedema. We had a gorgeous lipedema catch up this morning, and I wasn't comfortable to reveal any of that to these women because they're in different stages of life and different stages of their lipedema to me. And I wasn't comfortable to open up about that because I felt guilty. Yeah. I felt guilty being like who I am, the age that I am, the size that I am. But I wonder whether if I had if they were in my shoes now, knowing what they know now, if they would have done the same. I don't know.
Very individual.
Yeah.
But if you've got the resources available to you and it's going to make an impact for you, do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, It's your journey. This is you taking care of you. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks, no matter what anybody else would do in your situation. This is your choice.
Yeah, and I feel like there's a lot of women out there in our community that are thinking about finding an intervention for their lifestyle weight. The GLP-1 are going to seem to be the talk of the town, and they have really good, outcomes especially for the inflammation. So if you are of the means where you can do that, then by all means, just do what you can do. You've had an experience with the GLP-1s that you've shared with us.
Yeah. So I won't go there again.
Yeah.
But that was just me. It didn't work for me. And it doesn't work for everybody. But if you can afford it, give it a go. But then back to that podcast I was saying that I've just listened to with Karen Herbst, she mentioned a few things. She said GPL-1 doesn't work for everybody. And she said, and if you've got mast cell or if you've got tummy issues, which a lot of us do, that it may be more harm than good.
Yeah.
But she mentioned
phentermine,
which is what Duramine is.
Yeah, and she mentioned Dexter and
amphetamine. Is that Ritalin? Is that ADHD medication?
It is ADHD medication. She mentions that for weight loss.
They use different stuff in the States. So we use Ritalin, Concerta. So I teach special ed. That's why I know the drugs for ADHD. So yeah, Ritalin, Concerta, Vyvanse. Like I think they're the main ones.
Which is interesting because my GP certainly didn't mention dexamphetamines, that sort of class of drug. Yeah. It was sort of like Duramine and GLP-1s. There was one called Contrave, which she mentioned and my mother had mentioned to me as well because her GP mentioned to her. And it's so interesting, depending on what GP you go to, their advice is their thoughts on particular drugs are very different because, of course, no one drug works for everybody. So my particular GP had a couple of people on Contrave or a few people on Contrave and didn't seem to make very much of a difference. But apparently Contrave works for emotional eating, like it takes away the dopamine receptors so you don't get the same response if you're going to eat junk food or something.
Yeah.
Emotional eaters, apparently that's very good with. Yeah. But yeah, Karen, when we were listening to an excerpt of the podcast with Karen Herbst on the Bendy Bodies, thank you, podcast, she mentioned that she prefers the dexamphetamines to the phentermine only because phentermine you seem to have to cycle through it because it's so full on.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
But that's why you're only doing it for a short time. And that's perfect.
And if it doesn't work for that short, I've even done a bit of research about cycling it with my menstrual cycle. And it's interesting because they say, in your ovulation period and your follicular phase, you can take it every day because your body can handle stress better. So you maximize that time of your cycle. And then in your luteal phase, when you're feeling terrible, just maybe either stop for that time or have one every couple of days. And I thought, well, that's interesting because usually in my luteal phase, I'm more prone to eating more food because I'm so lacking in energy and effort. So it seems counterintuitive, but it does make sense because it's such a big stressor to taper it down when your body can't handle that much stress. So I'm just sort of feeling my way at the moment. And if I feel like I can handle things on my own one day, I won't take it. Or if I feel too stressed or too tired or something, maybe I won't take it. But I will up and update. I don't know if this is the right decision. It's just the decision I've made, and we'll see what comes of it.
Yeah, and like I said, it's short term. It's only short term. It's not like you're signing your life away to something.
No, well, I also have. She gave me a script for Duramine, and she gave me a script for the Wegovy, and she said, "Well, do whatever you think is best." And right now my bank account thinks that Duramine's the one. And the mental health thing, that erraticness, the anxiety, I really need to keep an eye on because it's really important that I don't put that onto my family. So I need to be very careful about just being mindful about how I'm showing up because it's such a big, you get a big rush of energy, and I'm quite a heightened and quite a anxious person in general. So I really need to watch that. It could antagonize that a little bit. Awareness is key.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Just really checking with yourself and keep all your other conservative management happening and looking after your sleep and looking after your all your things.
All the things.
All the things.
And I was trying to think, the last 2 times I went on this was to help me to implement a new lifestyle strategy to maintain it, right? So the last time was after I had the twins, and so it was to get rid of the postpartum weight. But specifically from a lifestyle perspective, I was implementing intermittent fasting. And so I needed a bit of help, like, because I was hungry, because I wasn't used to not eating at that time.
Yeah.
And so then I became an intermittent faster, and that's how I managed to maintain that.
Yeah.
Because I was always doing strength training. I was always doing all the things. It was just, needed to eat in a smaller eating window. Whereas this time, I don't know what else I can implement to help my lifestyle that I will have time to continue to do.
Maybe it's just getting back into the good habits.
Yes.
Getting back into intermittent fasting.
And increasing my muscle mass.
Yeah.
Because I had the surgeries and then I got pregnant and then I've been postpartum. My muscle mass has gone down incredibly. And of course we know when we have more muscle, we burn more calories. So I'm lifting some weights, not big ones, because I'm I'm back to the beginning. I'm back to square one. Yeah. But I'm ready to get strong. I want to get really strong. That's my goal this year. Awesome. And I feel like when you have really good muscle mass, when you've lost weight, you can maintain it better when you've got a good, strong muscle.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think I said I take metformin as well. Did I say that?
Oh, you didn't. No, that's interesting.
Yeah.
How long have you been taking that for?
I think late last year I started taking metformin, and
that's for insulin, is that right?
Yeah. So at the conference, I can't remember the speaker, but she said it's like the poor man's Ozempic.
What's that?
So it's not a GLP-1.
I say berbeриne's like that too.
Yeah, right? Maybe we should look at the berberine. Yeah, berberine. So but it's Karen Herbst recommends it for breaking up fibrosis.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Well, can I just say, I used to be really into biohacker podcasts and stuff. I used to listen to them all the time. And a lot of biohackers take small doses of metformin. So it's like a thing.
Oh.
Yeah. It's in the biohacker world.
I'm a biohacker now.
You sure are, Shell.
Okay.
Very good. Well, thank you for giving me the space to talk about that.
Thank you for sharing with us.
I will keep you all in the loop. I do not take this lightly, and we'll find out whether it was the right decision.
And if not, we dust off and we try something else.
We try something else. Very good.
Yeah.
Until our next episode.
Thank you for listening.
Bye.
The Lipoedema Podcast 2025 is powered by Elegance Lymphatic Care. Lipoedema and its symptoms vary from individual to individual. The opinions and advice voiced in this podcast are of a personal nature and used for educational purposes.
Please take away from this podcast what resonates with you, and please see your GP or preferred specialist for diagnosis and healthcare. We are Shell and Tiana from the Lipoedema Podcast. Until our next episode, bye for now.